All right, second, I guess, segment of the podcast is what we're going to discuss the 23rd June update, which is the balance patch for the new things. Mol, how do you do this? Basically, I clicked show other screen, and now you see the other screen. That's how I did Voda. I know. All right, so we have 10 changes this time around. 9 of them are hero changes, and 1 of them is a relic change. What I've already done is I've shown what is a buff and what is a nerf. Looking at all of the changes, only Hela has the one which is a nerf. Everything else is a buff that has happened. So what we're going to do is we're going to rank this as well, just for the fun of it. Doesn't really make a tier list or anything, but just as we discuss. S is an outstanding. That means it's an outstanding change. It's really good. It takes the hero up a tier or maybe makes it more usable. A is a good change. Yeah, okay. Not bad, not good. N is no effect, so like this change makes no change to the hero. It's still going to be the same. And F is if we just want to revert it, like if they've gone too far, sort of thing, right? So let's just start discussing from the beginning. It'd be nice if somebody can throw in some reasonings why behind what you feel about, let's say, the change. Starting off with Priya for sure, which is the first one. Magic attack increased by 25%. What do we think of that 25%?
I'd say it's either an A or an N. I feel like it's not enough for me to want to play her more, because I never, used her as the main damage dealer.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like, just looking at numbers wise, 25% is a big increase, right?
Yeah, certainly.
Magic attack increased by 25% is huge, for sure. And it also says starting at level 1, 40 to 50. I think like at basic 1 star or like bronze star, you have extra base damage is what they mean by 40 to 50. But the magic increase of 25% is really a good change. I don't know if it's outstanding because, well, anyways, Priya is pretty low on the tier list. She might be good. Oh yeah, that's a good idea in play. Like she might be good on like expeditions now, like on goblins especially. You could clear the entire map with like 1 or 2 casts and then boom boom, you're done. But the number itself, 25%, feels a lot. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how she comes out. Maybe somebody comes up with some sort of a new build, Alright, second awakening ability, frozen armor. Heal goes from 10% to 25%. Does anybody have any thoughts on this?
I think it's good.
Yeah, I would say it's good, but still not enough for me to play her.
Yeah, I think all the buffs are good, but the question is it enough to make them like more playable? And I'd say that this by itself doesn't really have an effect, because if someone's already damaging Priya to the point where she dies, chances are if she's coming back at 10 or 25%, she's not going to last much longer.
True, exactly. I think the second awakening frozen armor was never ever used. It sounded cool in theory. I remember when they announced awakening abilities for the first time, they used Priya as an example. And at that point of time when frozen armor was announced, it was a really exciting thing. Like, oh my god, look at that, like self freeze. Like if somebody's played World of Warcraft, like mages have that freeze thing. I forgot what it's called. Ice block, yeah. So it was good, but I don't think this change has any effect on her playstyle. I would just put an N over here, no effect. Right?
I agree because I think if the second awakened ability will heal like 3 or 2 heroes, it will be good, but it just heal herself, so it's not effect, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's really going to help or have any effect on her. Still, it's nice that they're buffing these champions. They're realizing that these areas need buff, and they're realizing that nobody plays with that, so they're really focused on it. So it kind of shows that it's a good direction they're going. All right, we got Aramis attack increased by 16.7% straight up. It's a straight up damage buff.
Yeah, I'd say as far as buffs go, this is an outstanding buff for a damage dealer to get.
Exactly. Yeah, as Jalad said, oh, he's done the maths behind it. 16.7% increased damage is 10% increase in DPS. That's fantastic. In case you didn't know, Aramis does 66% physical and 34% magic. Oh, that's fantastic to know, Jalad. The Aramis god himself letting us know stats. So yeah, that's a 10% DPS increase for free. So without doing anything. S. I believe Nob and a few of the others were also playing with Aramis in some chapters, and they really enjoyed the extra buff. I think Onlage also has been getting some good results with him in PvP. So yeah, definitely a really good change. Baudray, second awaken ability Discord increases the mana from 40 to 80%, but only applies once to each target. Has anybody ever played with Discord? The awakening ability.
I have one. It wasn't really that good. But now that I said this, I would say it's an astounding.
Again, this is one of those awakenings that in theory it sounds really cool, but the way how King God Castle's mechanics work, maybe it's not that good, right? Like in theory, if you think about it, increase the mana by 40% usage, so the other hero has to take forever to cast. But then how the game works, that's like an extra half a second or like 1 second, right? So I don't know if it makes a difference. And
I still feel like you still pick his first awakened ability over this in most cases.
Yeah, for sure. The first one is still outshines the second. Yeah, and yeah, of course, Jalad, as you said, if it works against raid bosses, then maybe. But that can really delay some of the raid boss skills, give you more time, especially on specific bosses. I'm not going to name which, of course. But yeah, this is, I don't know, is it a good change or does it have no effect? I want to say no effect on the hero itself, because it doesn't really do much. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everybody's saying, and it's perfectly right. Draco, what do we think? Concentrated Flame. This is the second awakening, by the way, not the first one. Second awakening, Concentrated Flame. Magic attack increase from 50 to 70, so 30% attack buff.
Good.
S? Really, Yusuf? Why is it S? Is Concentrated Flame better than the first awakening? I forgot the name.
Ignite.
Yeah, it's basically an Ignite, yeah. Yeah, I think Panko got it right. Like, it's a good buff, but the first awakening is still better. I believe Nob had left some notes for us as well, where he also mentioned that Draco's second awakening, it removes the number of ticks, does more damage, but because he has such a high or such a long cast animation, that the second awakening just falls short always. Because when you kill a target with Draco and the target dies, you restart your cast, you don't continue to cast it. So that paired with the second awakening is basically you do like 0.5 second of a flame breath, and then you probably die before anything happens. The Draco buff is an A. Yeah, I think A for sure. It's a good buff, but it's not an outstanding buff. I'm sorry, Yusuf. Speed up dead enemies. I don't know. I still think it's A. Maybe not an S. A lot of people still think it's an A. Maybe one day we'll have something strong. All right. We got Joel. They're trying to show some love to Joel, trying to make him viable. Magic attack increased by 20%. Do you think this is enough to make him playable now? N, lol.
I'd say N.
Even after 20% magic attack buff.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah, I feel like Joel really shines though if you're attacking like a lot of enemies at once, so he can get the drain from him. But most of the times when I use him, he ends up just 1v1ing something, and his skill just doesn't enough. It doesn't really shine for me.
Let's say N, right? No effect.
Yeah,
The
no
second awakening, blink of an eye. I don't understand this. Somebody explain this. What does this mean? Move enemy back within 5x5 around 3 tiles. What?
So I think the old awakened ability used to teleport him to the back line, and now it's more likely to teleport him into the middle of the enemy's forces, so that when he does his AoE attack, it actually hits multiple targets.
Ah, that makes sense actually.
So I think this is a noticeably, this is definitely good as far as making his skill set better.
Oh,
I agree with you on that.
That's a good
I
point. That
would
also makes him
say
die faster. But he is kind of in tank mode right after he teleports in there. So
so it's make his ability more effective.
hmm
Yeah.
I think it's good.
I don't know how they'll make the positioning work. Like, what if the center is cluttered? Then where does he teleport? You know, like, does he go back? Does he skip 2 boxes and go to the left or right? I don't know. The way you explain it, it makes a lot of sense that they would do this. Does it have an effect on him? Probably no.
yeah, I still think he's. Yeah, I don't think it changes his tier at all or anything like that.
Yeah, JLAD has a perfect image to let us know with the 30% win ratio. They need to remove Joel cast animation. Yeah, true. You know what? Actually, that's right. That's a good point. If they remove that long ass cast animation from Joel, he can become so much better. Like, don't even buff him. Just remove that animation. It takes forever for him to like charge his blade and do all his fancy shenanigans. Says around 3 tiles. Yeah. He can't even come close to. Oh, true. Exactly. That's kind of hot. It's kind of a nerf if you think about it, because before you would teleport to the back line in PvP, let's say, and you be able to kill the carries. Now you just teleport in the middle and just get smacked from all sides. Yep. All right. What about Rose? Attack speed increase. This is just a flat, small increase. I think this is just okay. And.
Yeah, I'd say it's good. Attack speed is really good to buff just because it also makes abilities go off sooner.
Yeah.
So I'd say good.
Yeah. I agree. It's good.
Hey, it's cool. Yeah. What do you guys think in the chat? Just let me know. So, if you're not on voice, you can always type in chat. You can always interact through there. Yeah, it's a small increase. It's not too big. 13% is not much really. It's a good change. I mean, it technically doesn't have any effect on the champion, but I guess it's good to see. Yeah, we'll keep it an A for now. We'll show Rose some love. She's ignored. All right, Hella HP decreased 13%. I think everybody wanted this to happen. From what little testing that we have done in PvP as well, she's much easier to kill now, of course. Even though it's a small change, 13% is not much. The level 1 health also goes from 150 to 130. And I think, yeah, exactly as Tractor and Panko are saying, not as Emplay is saying, but as the other guys are saying that, yeah, she needs to still maybe be nerfed slightly bit more. But I'm afraid that if they go too far, that she'll just drop out of the meta altogether.
Yeah, I think definitely a good change. It makes her a little bit more comparable to other carries in terms of her like tankiness.
For sure. I think the HP decrease was a very well needed nerf. I think this is a good nerf, maybe even an outstanding nerf, I would say.
Yeah.
Even Anwar reduces damage by 50%. Yeah, exactly, Jayla. That's the thing, right? Hela was so dominating in arena, it was not fun anymore. Like, it was just Hela spam, and everything would just die, and you can't kill her. Especially at like early rounds, like round 1. If you are playing with Hero Alter and you get a tier 2 Hela, it's kind of impossible to kill her with, like, say, your T1s. So this is a good change. Very good. We'll probably see some more nerfs in the future. Alright, now this big one, Zhao by attack speed increase based on his attack speed or skill speed. SS, yeah, exactly.
I'd say
Yeah,
S.
very nice change.
It's S, obviously.
It's
Petition
S.
to get that on Tia as well.
That's what we need. SS plus Panko. I beat you. I'm one step ahead of you, man. It's SSS. You will not believe the mad amount of skill speed that you get with that. Like one bow, like one T4 bow, and he's so fast. So fast.
Yeah, it's always like sing.
Exactly. It's insanely good. And
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's tested him so much to see if there's a cap on it, because of course there's an animation has to have some sort of cap on it, right? You can't just blink and kill everything, or like literally like an anime. You know, he just pulls his sword out, chick, chick, and puts it back in, and all the enemies just slice in half. That's literally what happens.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Especially
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
the,
get there.
the go by skin. It's so awesome, man.
It's hilariously fun, of course, to play as well. But yeah, it's a really good change. Maybe overpowered, but we'll see. Tia, MP decreased by 5. So yeah, this is a buff, so it just makes her skill go off a little bit sooner, from 50 to 45. I don't know if it's...
It's the difference between one attack, right? It's a good change, yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Was it used to be 4 to trigger it, and now it's 3?
Yeah.
They call it a buff, but
Oh, somebody's posted a video? Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, exactly, it's too fast. Tia, both buffs are ends, you didn't mean it all. No, but M-play, as we discussed, now you need 3 attacks instead of 4, so that's actually a significant buff when you
It's kind of big, yeah.
Yeah, when you save an entire attack rotation for the skill to go off, I think it's pretty big. I would say it's good. It's not outstanding. It's good for sure. She needed it. A plus AS. More faster skill usage. Yeah, Yusuf. You know, you're right. Actually, Tia also suffers from the same problem that like Joel and all Draco suffer from. Is that the attack animations are so slow that you lose DPS just because of attack animations.
Yeah, it's really bad. We really need the Sobai buff in that one as well.
The Zobai buff for
I would
all
like that.
heroes. Every hero gets Zobai buff. The whole game is on 10x speed then. It's gonna be hilarious. Alright, we got the second one, which is attack increase. Okay, flat attack increase. Good.
Yeah, I'd say that's good for her.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's not
Nice
outstanding.
change.
It's a decent change for sure. Alright, so now we have, those are the hero changes, of course. Blade Crown has changed. Again, this is a new relic, so maybe not a lot of people have played with it yet. But I think this is an outstanding change. What do you guys say?
I think it's
I
definitely
agree.
bigger than it looks in terms of the percentages. I think it's kind of huge. For the
Yeah.
survivability.
Now, rightly said. I think
from the
it's
most damage taken, hitting it.
yeah, but it's again because it's so new. Like very few people have used it, but going from 50% to 30% at the highest tier, because we only talk about tier 4 relics, right? 50% to 30% is really good. Like 50% damage extra taken was a big deal, but 30%, if you think about it, you could tank it, right? You could tank it with self-healing, you could tank it with elixirs, so it's not that bad. S better than Helm for sure. Yeah, it's really good. The damage buff for the damage you take trade-off is really worth it. It's really worth it, and especially because when you're playing like solo chapters or solo carries, you probably only need the Helm on that carry. You don't really need it for the entire team. For example, Lunaire is at 12, right? Even if you interrupt them, once they've started the cast goes all the way through. So even a log or a behemoth doesn't really matter that much, except for your mid carry. So yeah, S tier change for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, perfect. That's basically it. So balance patch is pretty good. Lots of A's, lots of N's, lots of S's also. I would say this is probably one of the finer balance patches they've done, and probably one of the bigger balance patches. I don't think they've ever done like 10 or 9 heroes at a time. So it's a really good change to see. It's going to move things around. Plus, with the new season starting, hopefully it'll be good. So Crown is S for me. Yeah, Jalad. Yeah, Trio was always annoying. It still is, to be honest. But the Helm, of course, works. for that. All right, before we go to the final and the last thing that we wanted to discuss, maybe somebody wants to give a few thoughts about where you think the game is headed, because we are seeing a lot of changes, a lot of nice balance patches. So if anybody has any comments on where or the general direction that the devs are taking the game, feel free to let us know.
I kind of like the pacing they've got with the seasons and the raid schedule and things like that. Everything feels kind of, and the hero releases, like they're being very consistent, which I think is really good for the health of the game overall. And I like that recent post they made where they said they're going to be making some roguelike content. I think a new mode could really freshen things up. So overall, I think the game's heading in a good direction.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I really like how it sounds like they're going to be adding like a few more kind of mechanics to the game, things to do. So as a newer player, right? It becomes a little bit stale doing the same, grinding of gold every day. So having something else is really nice.
Also, like as you said rightly, the I don't know, like what we call milestone patch, the milestone thing that they said, we're going to be doing so and so things in the future. That I think has really excited a lot of people. I remember back when we got level 14s for the first time. Before it was only level 12, which was max. And then, it was 8, and then it got 12, and then 14, right? When that happened, there was a huge gap that was created between veteran players and newer players, because now you needed so much more investment and time to reach to that level. And the way they sort of countered that was to introduce raids. So raids only got introduced 8 seasons ago, which was in November of last year. I think raids was one of the finest additions to the game modes in the game. It really elevated and made the game something else. Because I remember when we didn't have raids, the whole the game was like a different thing altogether. It was 11. Yeah, it was 11. Yeah, you guys are right. It was 11, right? So the jump from 11 to 14 was big, and it created a really big gap. I remember a lot of players quit. A lot of veterans quit because they were like, this is too much of a change. But I guess it worked out at the end. And 20, yeah, true. But yeah, the roguelike, content. I'm curious. Anybody has any ideas what it could be? Like, how can you make KGC roguelike?
I don't really have any idea what they have in mind. I don't think there's any like big indicators. But something like a different game mode where you can, go between floors and kind of climb and get bonuses
Go as high as you can.
From. Yeah. Or something like that. Sounds good.
An endless mode also, I think they hinted at, so they'll probably have I can't think of the name, but like an endless tower, right? Like floor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you just keep going higher. It just getting harder and harder. And I guess roguelike could be, I mean, from what I understand of roguelike games, because I play a fair bit of them, is as you let's say go up in the levels, or let's say how you go up in the floors, you get to choose one of 3 items, and then you pick like a buff, increase damage done by 5%, versus you get a buff like extra 1 might block per floor, or
right,
something
or
like that.
ranged attacks plus 10%, something like that.
That would be
Maybe
great.
even more like mechanical buffs. Even that would be fun to see.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, if you're here, guys, you won't be able to use it that day. Okay. Let me see them do that. I'm gonna fly down to Korea and okay, never mind.
I also want to mention I really like the phases that they added for the expedition modes, because it used to be so mindless to just grind through Goblin Hunt, or whichever one you were grinding resources for. But the phases really made it a lot more interesting and made it feel like it's worth your time to play it now.
Exactly. No, I think as you rightly said, like before, once you knew a build, you would just spam that. Like even if you didn't look at your phone, Now you have to pay attention. You know what? Actually, now it's a very good change. I'm not denying it, but now I've like lost all motivation to play it because it's so difficult. It's like you have to think about it, and you're like, okay, now I have to pay
That's true.
attention. I have like what 34, 40 flags sitting because I just can't give it the time.
Yeah, that's a thing I have with the game, right? It would be nice if you weren't as incentivized to like do one at a time, like 5 meat at a time, or 3 whatever things at a time. If you could do it a little bit quicker, not go through the same thing 9 million times.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing I want to mention, like I've spoken about this before, that like a lot of other games or a lot of like gacha games or like mobile games, whatever you want to call them, where they have this mechanic of food, you know, like a food or energy system where you gather energy, then you use 5, 10, 15 of it. I felt that King Out Castle has probably the only game that you never run out of food. Like I spam play, and every time I log back in, it's like, oh, here, take 60 food more. They just keep giving out so much food.
Yeah.
No one's starving in this game.
Exactly. I've seen. I get really mad when there's like somebody has a lot of food because I hate that. I've seen people with like 1,000 food, and then they're like, yeah, the game just keeps giving me more food. And the devs are very nice. They're like, you know, oh, sorry guys, there was a downtime of 30 seconds. Here's 100 food. Compensation. They just keep giving compensations. Hey, Era has a beautiful little doodle that he has done with food. Exactly, or that's basically KGC devs in French-made costumes giving food to everyone.
The developer is so good. I think when the game is got a lot of bugs, you know, they fix it so fast. You know, we so yeah, the developer is so good.
No, I agree with you. Like the bug fixing speed is good, but the number of bugs are also quite a lot, and we have one every season. I remember like there's like a small joke that runs around in the guild is that we don't define the seasons with the numbers. We say, oh, this season was this bug. You know, every season has its one star bug that everybody remembers it by. I'm like, oh yeah, season 15. Oh, that was the bug with that boss, and we're like, oh shit. But at least they're fixing it. At least they're active. And from the message what that Mr. Croco said, he's like, we're not giving up on the game. Don't worry. We're working towards it. I think they were like sort of concerned that everybody was like, you guys are not doing anything, just releasing skins and blah blah blah. Even I'm not complaining. I love skins. Which actually brings us to the next thing. Are you guys able to see this?